Well, welcome to the Ferris Love Family Project's newest podcast called Forge the Man. My name is Paul Ybarra, and I will be hosting this new podcast. And today's episode is to introduce this podcast. And I have Emily here to help me with this episode. Emily, hello.
Hello, Paul. We are so excited over here at the Ferris Love Family Project to be launching this new podcast. So maybe we can start by exploring the intention for this podcast. Why do we need Forge the Man, and who is it for?
Well, Emily, this podcast is for young men, 18 and probably into the 30s. Just from my experience being in the U.S. military, and even before that, playing high school sports, and then being a firefighter for the years that I was, there's a great need for men to be mentored. Or you could say like trained or helped or assisted. Because unfortunately, our culture today, there's a lot of broken families, and sometimes fathers not really taking the formative aspect of their boys maybe as seriously as they should. And I know some have to work and there's other issues, but we want to fill that gap.
That's so awesome. And I think that here with Forge the Man, we're going to be able to do that in a very meaningful way, to fill in the gap for anyone who needs a mentor, anyone who needs, masculine support. But I'd love to hear a little bit about you, Paul. What is your background? What led you to being the perfect podcast host for this particular podcast?
Well, Emily, I'm a cradle Catholic, and I was very fortunate to have a good father. Now, he wasn't perfect, but he didn't have to be perfect to be good. And he gave me I'm really fortunate. As I look back on my life, I'm really fortunate that he's laid the foundation for me to really live a good and fulfilled life. He ensured that we had a prayer life, which is roughly the rosary daily. We went to Mass only on Sundays. He took me to confession monthly. But one of the most important things that he taught me was a good work ethic. At that time, I did not see how important that was. As a young boy, I shined shoes. I threw a newspaper out. I worked at the grocery store as a box boy. And I always had odd jobs. I mowed lawns in the neighborhood. And then my dad always had me in team sports. And that was a lot of good formation because there was a lot of other men, the parish priest, that really formed me. And then later on, I joined the United States military, sort of at the direction of my father, because I was kind of going off the rails a little bit. And he thought that that would be good for me. And I trusted my dad, and I thought that was the best thing, and it really was. And after 4 years in the U.S. Air Force as a firefighter, I joined the Los Angeles Fire Department. And again, I came across a lot of good men that helped form me and train me. And a lot of it was like in character traits, like being honest, don't make excuses, working hard, and then providing service to others. So that's a little bit about my background as far as men forming me, but I'm also married, been married to my beautiful wife for 39 years. I have 4 children. And then currently I teach at the college, junior college. It's College of the Canyons. I teach in the fire technology program. I like to exercise, especially I like to play basketball. And then I like to cultivate friendships. And one thing I really like to do is try and mentor or help young men. And what I really try to do with them is don't make the same mistakes that I did. And then also be open to advice. Maybe you don't like what you're hearing, but at least consider it. You can use me as a sounding board. And then one thing too that I've learned over the years, and I was on the receiving end, but sometimes I was treated roughly by other men when I was in the military and then sometimes on the fire department. And then with, other men or kids that I grew up with. And that was not good for me. And so I've always made it a point to be really positive and try to uplift and build people's confidence. And that's what I see today. I see a lot of young men out there with a lot of talent and ability. But if you don't have confidence or you don't believe in yourself, I should say believe in yourself, but if you don't think you can get it done, then sometimes you don't do it. So as an older man, I'd like to help mentor those young men. And not myself, but the men that I'm going to bring on. Aristotle said, if you want to be good at something, find somebody or the model that's good at it. And I'm going to be introducing men that I believe are really virtuous and good role models.
This is awesome. And you know, the main message of our mission here at the Ferris Love Family Project is that through the intercession of Mary, Mother of Ferris Love, we can help build family life. And we do that in a lot of ways. You know, we have our Fairest Love podcast that kind of goes into family life and parenting, education, raising children. And we have our podcast, Single Not Stalled, for young Catholic women looking to thrive in the single seasons of their lives, whether they're vocationally single or just in a season of singleness. We have our After Cana podcast, which, Paul, you've been a guest for, which is for those couples who are in the engagement season or seriously leading into engagement. So there are varying areas that we hope to reach with our content. And I think that area is a place for us to now reach this group of young men who you've already spent many years working with. And so we're so excited to essentially just shine a light on the work that you've already been doing for so many years, bringing these one-on-one personal experiences that you've had and kind of blasting them online so that it can reach young men everywhere. So we're very excited to have you and to begin this podcast.
Yeah, you know, Emily, I played a lot of sports over my years, and there's nothing like a good coach, because a coach is sitting there on the sidelines observing you. And maybe he can't do it anymore, but what he has between those ears can be of great help. I know as a young firefighter, I had some really good captains that really built my confidence and pushed me to limits that I didn't think I could do. My father, first and foremost, did that for me as well. And I think sometimes when you're a young man, life is new. Sometimes you can be a little cocky or overconfident, and sometimes maybe you don't have confidence. But that's the beauty of having a mentor, somebody that's already been there, done that, and can, in a sense, make it a little easier for you to get to the top of the hill. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'd really like to introduce some of these men that I'll be bringing on is to, I've already interviewed one father of 12, just awesome story. Very young man. He's only 43 years old. And he didn't know he was going to get into this, but a leap of faith and good mentoring. And what do you know? He's got 12 children. I spoke with a doctor too recently. He has 8 children. And he just told me about the importance of like hard work, taking initiative, not accepting no. So these men that I will be interviewing and bringing on will offer their advice and lessons learned. And then it's something that you can reach and touch. Like sometimes we hold athletes, politicians, and movie stars up as role models. And there's some very good ones, but there's nothing like a Catholic man that's practiced their faith. And I'd like to introduce my audience to these men.
Well, we're so excited to have you on the team. Do you have any last words?
Yeah, well, none of us are professional speakers. We're not professional podcasters, but it'd be well worth it for a young man to listen to the advice and the words of wisdom from these men. I mean, I myself have learned so much in such a short period of time, and I've been really humbled when you listen to some of what these men have done and what they are doing. And you have a lot of hope after listening to them because their children and the people they come in contact are going to be better people for coming in contact with them. And I'm giving you an opportunity to meet them.
Okay, Paul. Well, happy listening to everyone who's tuning in online, and see you next time.
See you, Emily. Bye-bye.